Hey everyone, Dr. Aric here, and every winter season people talk about boosting their immune system, wanting to strengthen their immune system, especially right now, fall months, as we get ready to shift into winter, we want to make sure we have a strong immune system. So you're loading up on your vitamin C, your elderberry, all your immune supplements to try to boost it. But the reality is your immune system isn't just something that you can boost when you need to, it's something that you have to build over time. And honestly, there's times you really don't want to boost your immune system because you could make it worse. And this is why I'm so big on testing before we make any decisions or add anything to our health. So today I'm going to walk you through 3 really important markers that can really show us the integrity of our immune system, or at least give us a little bit of those clues, those hints before we make decisions, especially coming into the winter months. So that first marker is CRP, that stands for C-reactive protein. That is a protein that comes from your liver that is released when we have cytokines. So cytokines are really messengers for your immune system when your immune system's under attack or there's an infection that's starting to brew. So if you're CRP, if you look at modern medicine, they like to have your range at anything below 3. Well, in reality, anything above 1 means that inflammation is already brewing, inflammation's already attacking your immune system. So from an optimal range, which we use, I really want to see that below 1, below 0.5 in a perfect world. And CRP is important because if your CRP is elevated, it means all your resources, or some of your resources for your immune system, are now shifted towards trying to put out the fire, so to speak, rather than protection. And if all of your resources are focused on trying to put out the fire rather than protection, that's going to leave your immune system really exposed to other issues. So when we look at our lab values coming into these winter months, it's important to know, where is my C-reactive protein? Where is that actually is? And when it is, if it is high, it's important to ask the question, okay, where could that infection, where could that immune system inflammation be coming from? Is it coming from my gut? Is it coming from my foods? Is it coming from different viruses? That's why it's a great marker to look at to get a quick sneak peek of some of these things. Second marker that's really big with the immune system is vitamin D. Vitamin D is responsible for 200 different enzymes or genes with those enzymes. When we look at vitamin D, every immune cell has a receptor for vitamin D. Okay, your T cells, all your regulatory immune cells, they all have receptors that respond for specifically vitamin D. So studies show when vitamin D is low, your immune system's going to be low. Most people just look at vitamin D as having to do with their bone health, which it plays a role, but it's so much more important when it comes to your immune system. Vitamin D is huge, and when you look at modern medicine, the reference range for that, they're happy if it's between 30 to 100, which is a massive range. Typically where I want to see that is 60 to 80, because if your vitamin D levels are down at, let's say, 35, well, it means your immune system is right on the tipping point of having an issue that could really cause it to, well, really for you to be in deficiency. One of the biggest things I see with every single patient I work with is they're always vitamin D deficient, even from the medical reference range. Always vitamin D deficient. So some things I challenge you to do this winter is make sure you're getting sunlight twice a day. All right, especially going into the winter months. Make sure early morning sunlight in the evening before it goes down. Make sure you're taking a vitamin D3 K2 supplement. Most over-the-counter vitamin D supplements are vitamin D2, which is not the most bioavailable. Vitamin D3 K2 is going to allow your body to have the best absorption. And I recommend you get your vitamin D tested. Get it tested before winter and then after winter. So going into the winter months, right at the end of fall, and then after spring to see really where that vitamin D level is, because the lower your vitamin D is, the lower your immune system is going to be. And then this last one, pretty obvious to talk about this one, is white blood cells. And I could do a whole separate video on this, but white blood cells is so important because it's a reflection of your immune system. Now, most of the time, we're just looking at just your white blood cells, but you have 5 different types of white blood cells. You see them listed over here: your neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. And I'm not going to go into all the details on them, but neutrophils are about your first line of defense. Lymphocytes are essentially, they're going to regulate, try to clean up things, think of antibodies dealing with infections. And then the rest of these monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils are all your regulatory immune system, or white blood cells, excuse me. They're going to come in to try to clean things up. Okay, now it's important to look at your white blood cells, not just your overall count, but individually each of your white blood cells and how they interact. To look at, hey, what's the percentage of these cells I have? Also, what's the absolute count of what I have? This can give us really hidden indicators on what's actually causing, or what are actually the patterns or stress patterns on your immune system. So it's not just, let's just boost the immune system. If we have certain stressors on, it's important to know that. But when we look at the overall white blood cell count, most reference ranges, you're going to look at 4 to 11, 4 to 12. Optimal range, we want that between 5 and 6.5. If it's too high, we're looking at a chronic stressor on that immune system. And if it's too low, if it's below 4, even below 4.5, we're looking at your body's really struggling to produce and regulate some of those white blood cells, like these ones. All right. So it's so important when we look at our health. It's not just let's throw something on our body and see if it works. Testing should always be the first step, especially as we shift into these winter months. If I could really just want to focus on 3 markers to help you have a healthier winter, it would be these 3 markers: C-reactive protein, vitamin D levels in your white blood cells. And when I sit down with patients, typically I'm going to go into detail on more markers of this, but when it comes to white blood cells, I'm going to go more detail on the 5 specific white blood cells you have. But those are the 3 markers I recommend. Get that testing done, and my homework for you is find a good vitamin D3 supplement and go find your last labs. Whenever your last labs, or if you got your labs done with your doctor, or on your own, whenever you got your last labs done, go pull them out, and I challenge you to go look at these 3 markers and really see where they're at, because you don't always have the opportunity to speak with your doctor or really look at your labs. But now that there's a little bit of education there, go look at these 3 markers, look at what they're saying, and then find someone who can help guide you on that. But those are the 3 markers I would pay attention to as we go into the winter months to have a healthy, strong immune system, not just trying to boost it, but build a resilient one over time.